Hello, my loves. Carly here. Welcome back. I have been traveling, so that's why I haven't posted in about a week now. And actually, I uploaded a travel vlog onto my other channel here on YouTube, which you can find on my profile or down in the description box. That channel is more travel vlogs, lifestyle, fashion hauls, fashion tips, more of the fashion side of me, and you can really see more of my, who I am, and less of this intellectual teaching side of me here on this men, women, dating, and relationship channel. So anyways, go ahead and check that out if you are interested. But today's video, I wanted to talk about, so I had opened YouTube up after I had got back from my trip, and I saw about 3 of my favorite creators that I follow, kind of talking about some of the same things of here are the traits of a husband if you are dating for marriage. And I thought that, okay, since they are jumping on this topic, why not I? Why not I give my perspective and thoughts of relating to their wise words? And a lot of the things I resonate with, I totally put on a pedestal. I look up to and admire their words of wisdom. But just to kind of do my own version of what I would tell you, some of the traits of a husband to look for if you are dating for marriage. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So one of the first qualities that I think is one of the utmost important, because it is so severely lacking in this Western world today, is emotional regulation. Yeah. No one anymore has any control over their emotions. And it is absolutely astounding to me. It truly is, because as someone who has so much control over the way that I perceive things and the way that I react to things or don't react to things, I'm astounded at some of the buffoonery that I witness out here. And it's with both men and women. But with men, it goes a bit deeper. And let me tell you why. So with men, masculinity is the frame. Masculinity holds the frame. Masculinity is the container. It is the stability. It is the stump. It is the ground. It is the foundation. That's what masculinity is. It is strength. It is stoicism. Femininity is more of the let loose, unpredictable, the chaotic, overly emotional energy. And so for men, when we have men who are not strong standing in their emotional reactions and maintaining their emotional intelligence, when we don't have that, we have a lot of masculine women, or I should say a lot of women who start to put on this masculine shield in order to protect themselves against angry and emotional men. Because the feminines priority is safety. It is the need for safety and security. This has stood true for all of evolutionary history. And once upon a time, when men would get angry, that was some bad news. That meant serious business. That meant someone could die. Right? Men have a larger area in their brains for anger and aggression. That's why you always see, violent men lose control and do violent things and act out in violent ways, unfortunately. Because they have a larger center for that in their genetic makeup. And this can be seen as a good thing, as something to honor about the masculine, but it can also be a shadow side of the masculine. So if we have a bunch of men out here with no control over their own emotions, no regulation in that, what do you think that we're going to have? We're going to have more masculine women, more women that are completely disconnected from their own bodies and from their own feelings. Because all of these men out here are getting triggered by nonsense, buffoonery. And I'm talking about nonsense, okay? Emotional intelligence means that you carefully discern and decide who and what gets to affect you and gets to trigger you and gets to even touch that side of you, touch that feeling side of you. That's what emotional intelligence is having the wisdom to discern what things are necessary to let affect you and what are not. And who gets to have the key to affecting your emotions. I kid you not, just the other day I heard about a bar fight where some guy said something and the other guy has some kind of reaction and starts playing punching games. Why? Well, why do you think? Social media encourages that kind of delinquent behavior. So it's okay. It's okay because everybody's doing it. Everybody's doing it. Yeah. Juvenile behavior. The fact that some of these men are so weak in their masculinity that they let what other people say spew words at them, affect their emotional states, and trigger them, causing them to be violent. And they say age comes with wisdom. Pathetic. Pathetic. I could promise you, you could never do social media. If you are that person, you can never handle social media. I have people coming at me from every angle, left and right, even people that I know, even family members, random trolls on the internet, telling me I'm stupid, delusional, I don't know what I'm talking about, my hair is ugly. Does that get an emotional reaction from me? Absolutely not. Because I have emotional regulation and I decide what things and what people are worth my emotional energy and my emotional investment. And it is severely lacking. I mean, honestly, not just that. I'm astounded at the amount of men who literally blow up over traffic, okay? Bumper to bumper cars. Somebody pulling out in front of you. I'm laughing at your lack of emotional regulation. You let that, something as stupid and silly as that, trigger you and affect you? Honey, you're not ready to be a husband. You are not ready to be a husband. Because a wife, she's going to come with so much more than that. She's going to throw so many curveballs at you. And if you can't regulate yourself when you're bumper to bumper in traffic because the traffic pissed you off, how are you going to regulate yourself when your wife is pregnant with your baby and her hormones are all over the place and she's crying and she's needy and she needs your help? And then the next minute she's happy and ecstatic. Or when that baby finally comes out and that baby's keeping you up at night and you didn't get enough sleep, what are you going to do? You're going to start punching the baby? Start punching the walls? Start cursing your kid out? Goodbye. Regulate yourself, because this is pathetic. I already know that this is going to be a long video because I already didn't plan for this one to go on for this long. But women are always testing men. We are doing it consciously and most often unconsciously. And one of the ways that we test men is by testing how they can bear the burden of our emotions. When we don't know what the heck is happening inside of us. Where our emotions are completely unpredictable and chaotic. But then we test to see if he can burden the weight of that and how he will withstand that. If he withstands it with integrity. If he withstands that with intelligence. That's a test of masculinity. That's a test of his strength and his ability to hold the containment of the female. And see, feminine wisdom knows exactly. It reads exactly who is a safe carrier of her strong-mindedness. A strength of her sometimes chaotic emotional states. Let me tell you, it is the most attractive thing when I'm a very strong-minded woman. As you can see, I am very strong-minded. And it is the most attractive thing when I can be in the energetic, physical presence of a man, being my strong-minded self, saying things that I truly, firmly believe in, telling him he's wrong in a lighthearted way, right? And he can actually hold the weight of that. He reacts to that with laughter or maybe just rolling his eyes. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't start fighting back. He doesn't start punching walls. I can't believe that men are actually doing this. Not men that I attract, but men are, right? I have guys in my life where I know, nope, there's no way that I could ever trust any of them with any of my emotions. They can't hold their own emotions. How the hell are they going to hold mine? Moving on. The second trait of a good husband, if you are dating for marriage, is sexual discipline. I know we live in a world, in a culture, in a society that says men and women are disposable and hookup culture is rampant and men and women can just sleep with each other one time, never see each other again, and we can just share all this sexual energy with each other, and we can just be like jackrabbits and just get it on, and then one and done, one night stands, friends with benefits, random hookups, whatever the hell it is that they call it now. I call it no sexual discipline. But a husband has sexual discipline. It seems like a foreign concept because it's so rare that it almost is a foreign concept. And I think back on romantic interests in my past and think about how some of them displayed no sexual discipline, would get so worked up, excited, and displayed no sexual discipline. And my female wisdom, it's like it just knew that felt very unsafe. It's like it knew that was not a trait that I desired in a husband. But my young brain began to develop a perception of that, a belief system of that just simply wasn't true. It skewed the way that I perceived guys and skewed the way that I perceived, questioned relationships and how they were supposed to be. Obviously, when I got to be older and, more mature and wiser, I obviously realized that that's not a quality in a husband that I would ever desire. For a man to just blow up and get so excited and emotionally upset and feel triggered and unsafe by something that sexually excited him, but didn't have the opportunity to release that sexual energy. And that never sat well with me. It never sat well with me. And so then I learned that God's way is really, truly the only safe way. It's the only real truth. It's the only way that makes sense. It's the only way that truly protects us. And so obviously now I've come to a point where if a man is lacking in the sexual discipline, and he treats women as if they are disposable human beings, and he doesn't mind sleeping with this one and then moving on and sleeping with this one, making this one his girlfriend, sleeping with that one. Men that do that, they do not care about you. They do not give 1 ounce of care about a woman. They don't. I'm sorry. And now it is actually repulsive to me to think of a guy who casually does not mind sleeping with someone whom is not his wife. It's repulsive. Up-level yourself to the point where you are repulsed by men who can sleep with several different women and feel no conscience about it. Do you think that if a man doesn't have sexual discipline outside of the marriage bed, that he will have sexual discipline with you and for you inside the marriage bed? What if you've been abstinent all this time? Chances are it's going to take a little while to warm you up. It's going to be a journey and a process to actually having a fulfilling life, intimate life in that department. Okay? And I know today, people are not taught this kind of information, and I get that it becomes like a really taboo subject, because actually it was once a taboo subject for me. I mean, I didn't grow up with parents talking about this kind of stuff. I mean, I was raised in church, but, not super strictly, but, I just had ideas here and there, but it was a taboo topic. But now that I know the truth of it, now that I know that what God creates is only supposed to be sacred and holy, I can look at that as something as what it is. Beautiful and something to be shared and learned over time with one person, with your spouse, right? With the person that you vow your life to, the one that you become one flesh with. But because of pornography, we have a skewed perception of what our sexual lives are supposed to look like. And this does not mean that he's not going to display sexual attraction for you or make you... It's kind of like this sixth sense where you can sense the sexual chemistry with a guy. It doesn't mean that the sexual energy and attraction is not there at all, right? Sexual attraction is healthy. It's supposed to be there. I am talking about lack of sexual discipline. That's a man that is not ready to be a husband. A man who is just spreading his sexual energy all around carelessly, mindlessly, claims that he's in relationships and dating women, but still mindlessly and carelessly spreads his seed, spreads his sexual energy. Repulsive, okay? Knows how to channel that sexual energy and be disciplined, walking in it with you, okay? There's a saying that says, love can wait to give, lust can't wait to get. There's a verse in the Bible that says, awaken love when it is the right time. Moving on. The last quality of a husband that I'm going to mention for this video is he is ambitious and a hard worker, and he has aspirations in life that he wants to do, achieve, see. He's always expanding himself, always expanding his container. He doesn't ever want to get too comfortable. And so he stays ambitious and he stays hardworking. And I know we've come to a world where women are so highly masculinized and we are just ambitious as ever. And we are such hard workers, and, we can do A, B, and C. We can do it all. We can achieve it all. We can make so much money. And hello, I'm one of those. I am a highly masculinized woman. Sure am. Yep. Sure am. Been independent my whole 20s, I should say. Worked 3, 4, 5 jobs at once. Was super ambitious. I love to travel. I want to see the world. I want to make so much money. That's what I want. I want to travel the world. I want to make a lot of money. I want to help give to my family. I want to build to pursue my career in the social media realm of men, women, dating, and relationships. I want to lead workshops. I have so much alpha energy, and I am not ashamed of that alpha energy. I love my alpha energy. So I know that us women have that potential in us. But unfortunately, the natural polarity of the planet, the rules read that when women become too masculine, men end up becoming too feminine, and they lose their purpose in society. They lose their need of feeling needed and sufficiency in their roles as men. And this is very highly dangerous. And trust me, it is not a trait that you want in a husband. Okay. Hardworking, ambitious, dedicated to his work, dedicated to his purpose. Always on to the next outlet to make money or serve in some kind of way. You will never feel safe and secure with a broke man. You will never feel less anxiety with a man who is always struggling for money, always penny pinching, always wanting to split the bill, always wanting you to front money. You will never feel safe with that. One thing about my sister and what she has, her and her husband, my sister never has to worry about money. Never. Now, her husband is young and, he doesn't have millions of dollars. He doesn't own a business right now, but he's smart and he has plenty of outlets to make money. He is a provider for her and their children. He never lacks. He never gets in sticky situations where he can't pay their bills. He always keeps them afloat. And I know this is a whole rabbit hole of a topic as far as men being severely underpaid. I totally understand that, the inflation of America. I understand a lot of the crisis in that and how things are just so expensive now. I understand it. I do. Right? But a provider will always provide. Do they have all the fanciest cars and always shopping and all the most luxurious things? No. But guess what? They have a beautiful home. They have several cars. Always have food on the table. They never lack. If a man in his 20s can provide that for his wife and his 2 babies and a household, an entire household, then I think your little boyfriend can pay a meal for you to go on a date with him. He can invest into you financially. And I'm not talking about Chanel bags. I'm not talking about Louis Vuitton bags. I'm not talking about all those luxurious things. Okay. I'm talking about being a provider. Proving that he has financial stability and will take care of finances, and you will never be without. I know men are getting all the wrong ideas from outlets of social media, if you know what I'm saying, and, roaring about how women need to pay their half and how they don't want to be providers. I don't follow all that junk. Okay, but I realize that it's out there, and I realize that these platforms have millions of followers and millions of eyes. That's because being virtuous and high value, as the high value term is used, which is actually a very, very old term, high mate value, That is something that is more rare. And so that's why things like my content and other people in this, dating and relationship and feminine and masculine realm are going to be more unnoticed and kind of more hidden, because this is not the popular, controversial thing that people want to hear. That's not what captures the internet's attention. It's not full of drama. It's not reality TV like we're so addicted to. So that's what most of the men are now subscribing to. And it's dangerous. Now, don't get me wrong. Being in a marriage is a different energy. And as far as finances go, there's a lot of nuances to that. And it's a different energy, right? He doesn't have to pay for everything. Women can pay for things too, right? The point is providing, and especially providing the basics. I know that this kind of went off track a little bit, but he has to be ambitious and hardworking, stable in his finances, stable in being a provider. And that's when men are usually ready to get married, is when they feel financially capable and financially stable. When they are committed to their work, hardworking, and always finding outlets to being a provider and being more prosperous. And I know I always get the pushback when I talk about these topics, the qualities of a good husband, because it triggers people, right? When I start coming forth with more deep, intellectual, triggering topics, it strikes a chord with certain individuals. Only the certain individuals that are committed to their pains, are committed to their lusts, are committed to their buffoonery and nonsense and low value behaviors and traits. Only those kinds of men would be triggered by my kind of content. And I know I expect to get all the pushback of, how do you know how to be a wife or the qualities of a good husband if you don't have a husband, if you're not married? I know. I've heard it all. But my dear, let me tell you that a wife is not the presence of a ring. It is the presence of her character. And there are many women out there who are married, but they are not a wife. And it pains me to say that, but it's true. And so many times I could have easily been married by now. Could have easily said yes to any of these romantic interests that have popped in my life at some point. Could have easily became the girlfriend of a guy. Did the whole traditional, I shouldn't even call it traditional. Did the whole, we play girlfriend, boyfriend for a few years and then, come to our wedding. We're getting married. Could have done that. But if you are on here following my content and listening to my teachings and what I'm saying and how to be a feminine woman and become a wife before you even get to that point, because a lot of women and men are not a husband or a wife. They're just in a relationship on autopilot, whether they're married or not. What was I saying? Oh yeah, if you're following my stuff and listening and taking in what I'm telling you. You are not on here looking for a boyfriend. You are not looking to be some man's girlfriend. If you want to get married and find a husband, you're not looking to become a man's girlfriend. And I know that the narrative has conditioned us here in the West to play boyfriend and girlfriend and then decide a few years later that we should get married. But husband and wives, they don't need to play house and test one another in order to decide if they should get married. They just know. They just go in with intentions, and they follow their intuition in that. They're dating with intentions for marriage. They're not dating to play games. They're not dating for 1 foot in, 1 foot out, boyfriend, girlfriend, back and forth, living together, but no commitment, no legality, no papers to say that I'm your next of kin, I'm your significant other, no, none of that. No, none of that playing with emotions. When I was younger and I was so disconnected from myself, my body, my intuition, and my emotions, because I was still dealing with a lot of child things, and I just kind of suppressed my feelings, and I never wanted to deal with those feelings. If something hurt me, I just shoved it aside, pretended like it had no effect on me. When I was in that state, I could have easily just had a boyfriend, played that role, pretended like my emotions and my spiritual self was not intertwined with all of their makeup, their spiritual, their physicality, their spirituality. It's you become one flesh. So I could have pretended like mine was not intertwined with theirs, and I probably just would have shoved it aside and pretended if anything happened or broke down, like it didn't matter. Who cares? I'll just go work 2 more jobs to distract myself, right? But now that I'm so vulnerable, I'm so highly in touch and intuitive with myself, with my emotions, with my heart, how sensitive and vulnerable this heart of mine is. I couldn't even let somebody. It's a dangerous. It's a slippery slope to get involved in, to just go on with no intention with somebody and to keep pretending like, or just end up nowhere with somebody that I see as special, that I see romantic and sexual attraction with. The point is don't let your boyfriend store you away from your husband, because he who finds a wife finds a good thing, and a husband recognizes a wife. A man who is set out to be a husband will recognize a wife in her true, full embodiment. This has always been a thing. It is only recently now here in the Western worlds where we have been conditioned out of that. Okay. And if you are dating for marriage and you need to learn a little bit more about men and how to keep drawing and attracting men in towards you as a feminine woman, because you are just so embodied in your female power, and you have questions about dating, and dating feels very intimidating for you, and you know, all your friends are, you know, they're out here with boyfriends left and right, and you just feel so set apart from them, and you start rotational dating and it kind of feels a bit intimidating, and you just want to feel more comfortable through that journey. I have a feminine dating course with some video lessons in there, over 8 hours worth of video lessons that can hopefully help guide you and comfort you throughout that journey. Lots of gems and information in there, especially if you are kind of just lost as to why you even need men in your life in the first place, because sometimes we just become so independent and self-sufficient that we even question, well, why do we even need a man? You know, why do we even need a man in the first place? Because we can just do it all ourselves. And I understand it, and I've been there, and still sometimes I go back and forth with myself and question that myself. And it's just natural. But the things that are inside of this course will be able to better help guide you in navigating through rotational dating and becoming the best wife and version of yourself for when your husband finds you. So anyways, it's obviously getting very dark out here. I'm gonna shut up now. I will see you guys in the next video, and yeah, I love you. Talk to you later. Mwah.